Hello, Simon Devan here. I'm the Chief Executive of Pure Sports Medicine. Just following on from an introduction by Rupert Crowfoot, we're both founding directors of the MSK Partners Network, and thought that it would be timely to share some of our experiences and our advice to date. As Rupert caveated, it is, I am responding on what I'm doing. I'm not giving any sort of legal opinion on what can or can't be done at this very challenging time. So I want to keep it quite short, quite punchy, and then, as Rupert said, we'll pick up wider questions and hopefully answer them in a second series. But the first message I have for everyone is take control of your expenditure now. It may seem like stating the obvious, but you need to understand where all your cash outgoings are going, and you need to be in control of that. So my strong suggestion is you cancel all direct debits, all standing orders, and you make sure that every single payment that comes out of your business goes through a trusted individual, either yourself or your finance director. Take a critical look at company credit cards if you have them. Quite often there are orders that have been set up for some time. Make sure they're cancelled. It's critical that you control all your outgoings. Once you've got control, I think the next thing to understand is who are the key stakeholders in your business. And no matter what the size of your company, business, you will have different stakeholders. And of course, you as a business owner, you may have investors in the business, your staff are obviously key stakeholders, as are your landlords, suppliers, your bank, and of course the government. And we all have a role to play in this in terms of stakeholders. And I think it's a coordinated approach and a coordinated support from all of these stakeholders that will be make or break for whether our businesses survive through this challenging period. So understanding who those stakeholders are and what you want from them is pretty key. And I'm just going to go through each of them quite quickly now and maybe talk about a few things that you could consider. So as business owners, this could be, senior people in your business, clearly looking at pay cuts, what you can tolerate in this time, suspending any dividend payments, and specifically looking at investors, asking what support they can provide, either now if you need it immediately, or certainly in terms of planning going forward. And Rupert talked about maybe we do another session on cash flow forecasting, because at the moment that is key. Cash is king, and working capital, money in your account to ensure the critical things keep moving in your business is absolutely vital. So having that view on what your investors could contribute could make a big difference. On the staff front, they'll be quite possibly your largest, or will be your largest cost, and understanding what you can do for them, and indeed what level of staffing you need through this period. We're moving to a virtual world. Pure Sports Medicine, we shut all of our clinics yesterday, and we're now moving to a skeleton staff to run virtual consultations and to keep the business moving. So coming up with a plan for what those staffing levels are, and indeed for the employed component of that staffing of your staff, how the government support via the furlough scheme can work, and probably another session to provide some more details maybe on that could be useful a bit later. For now, in terms of business planning, we are looking at a 12-week horizon for now. That's all we can work towards. It may well go on longer, it may well go on shorter, but for now we're looking at a 12-week planning horizon for our staff. Looking at landlords, as Rupert said, communication is key. So getting on terms with your landlord early to talk about your situation, Be very clear about what you're asking for. I'm going to be looking at 6 months of rent-free as a starting point, and talking to other businesses and other people in the property sector. That's certainly where a lot of retail businesses are starting at, and thereafter, certainly, looking at a change in mechanism. So moving from quarterly rent in advance to monthly rent in advance, to even looking at rent as a proportion of turnover as our businesses return to some period of normal trading at some point. Suppliers, again, I think going through the list of your suppliers quite carefully, identifying which ones are business critical, i.e. the ones you need to run your business right now during this shutdown period, and making sure that you keep them ticking along. So examples would be software providers, telephone providers, mobile phone providers. Clearly, cleaning contracts become less important as an example. But even though you might not be paying these other suppliers now, you still need to manage those relationships. So I would advise getting someone in your business, if you don't have an FD or a financial controller or someone in charge of the finances, someone needs to be on the front foot, speaking to them and being a point of contact to manage that going forward. Your bank, I would suggest all the things that I've talked about and Rupert's talked about, that you attack those first before you see your bank, because your bank will be expecting that from a business and corporate governance perspective, you've done these things. And then be very clear about what you're looking for from your bank. Yet very few details around the business interruption loan, but you might need some short-term support depending on any business loans or something you may have. But really important to address everything we've talked about ahead of getting to your bank. And of course the government, the position is changing. Clearly we've got some direct support for employed staff that may well change, and also include contractors. We just don't know. So again, it is doing what you can with the information to hand, and keeping them informed as much as possible. That's it for the first one of these from me. As Rupert said, we're looking to get feedback and further questions and queries from all business owners out there in the MSK sector, and hopefully sharing our ideas and through these challenging times are useful to all. And as Rupert said, just to reinforce, as the MSK Partners Network, we feel having a collective voice to lobby for things like business rates is really key. So go to the website, sign up. It's only £1 for 6 months, and we can get things moving. Thanks very much.